Excellent. Okay. So, everyone, this is the new members Q&A webinar, and we're going to be doing at least 90 minutes. So when I say at least 90 minutes, at times we actually go well above 90 minutes. I don't think I've done a Q&A webinar that has been less than 2 hours. In fact, we've done one that lasted for 5 hours. So we're going to be able to answer and address all of your questions today, no matter how long it takes. So that is a promise of our Q&A webinars across the board. So Dennis, I'm about to unmute you. Excellent. Dennis, are you there? Dennis, you've been unmuted. If you're having an issue, do you see something that says telephone or mic? You want to make sure that mic and speakers are checked. Oh, you've muted yourself. Okay. I'm not sure. We are not hearing you at all, Dennis. You might want to check your mic. Okay. You're not sure if mic is working. Okay, awesome. Okay, Dennis, while you go through trying to fix that mic, anyone else has their mic ready? I'm going to mute you, Dennis. If anyone else has their mic and wants to be unmuted, you can go ahead and tell me now. Let me kind of know. Just go ahead and click where it says raise your hand, and I'll unmute you. Oh, it seems everyone is shy today. Okay, for those of us who don't have a mic, we can go ahead and start by chatting. Can everyone have a chance? You can test. Okay, sure. Joanna, if you're ready, we can unmute you. Let me go ahead and grab. Joanna, are you there? Not exactly sure why. Joanna, if your mic is working, we want to go ahead and find out what exactly is going on here. This is very weird. Okay. No one else. Joanna, are you trying to say something here? Could you just type in the chat box to make sure that my audio has problems? Okay. All right. So if anyone else is ready to be unmuted, if not, you can go ahead and just type your questions in the chat box. If you do have a mic and you want me to unmute you, I'll get to those questions primarily first, and then we'll take the questions for those of us who don't have a mic, and then those who sent in their group call questions, we'll go ahead and address those finally. But if you did send in a group call questionnaire, we do have those ready. But if you want to go ahead and type a question in the chat box, because I know that between now and that time, a lot of our members always have other questions that they do want to ask. So let me check in our question box here. Okay. Okay. So guys, if anyone else, I'm just going to unmute everyone one by one. Bill, is your mic working? I'm going to try and unmute you first. Bill, are you there? Okay. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do until oh, great, Bill. You're raising your hand. Bill? Hey, Bill. Not sure what's happening. Is everyone's mic down, or is it the system? Bill, could you type in the chat box if your mic is working? This could be a glitch with GoToWebinar. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to start. If you can just start off by typing your questions in the chat box until we can find out what's going on with the audio. I'm not sure, Bill, you did raise your hand. I'm not sure if this is something that is, I've unmuted you again.
Hello?
Hey, Bill. Hey,
Hello?
is this Bill?
No, this is Dennis.
Hey, Dennis. Okay, great.
It must be a glitch in the system.
It seems so. It seems so. But you're the first to get on. You were first chosen. So let's get cracking, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Thank you for this webinar.
Awesome. No problem, Dennis.
I've been using your trying to use your templates and so forth. Do you have a
Okay.
PDF that goes along with the Kindle template?
Are we talking about when you say PDF? What exactly do you mean in terms of how to actually utilize a template?
Yeah, yes. You've got the video, but do you have a PDF that goes along with the instructions also?
Actually, no, Dennis. And I'll explain to you why exactly that is the case. When I got started earlier this year, there is a strategy that we use where how we create what is known as our Amazon Marketing Niche Report. And we did have a couple of people ask us, can you get someone to transcribe your PDFs? And we did that. And within 2 days, there was a book that was on Amazon Kindle using the exact same content, literally verbatim. And yeah, it was terrible. And when I contacted Amazon, because I didn't contact the person, I contacted Amazon, and they contacted the person, and the person told them that yes, it was their content. And then I kind of had to explain to Amazon what exactly was going on. And of course, it led to the situation where Amazon was not very, they weren't cognizant that we were using that strategy to kind of sift out, those keywords that they were driving traffic to. They didn't have a problem, and we know that they would not change the way how they were doing things. But they, of course, they are now aware, which is not something that was very cool. And there are many things that we do that if Amazon is aware, they'll believe that we're giving an unfair advantage to some, where others don't have that type of advantage, and they might not look too kindly on that. And we do, of course, a lot of business with Amazon. Our company is a direct publisher with them, so we didn't want to get in any trouble. But we're thinking about doing it, but we don't have one right now.
Well, I understand. Mm-hmm. I understand. You never know who you're dealing with, right. And you've got some proprietary information, and you want to keep it close to your chest. So I understand. That's fine.
But tell me what problems you're having with the template. Maybe I can just go ahead and pull that up now, and let's see if we can have a look on that.
Well, mostly it's getting the table of contents, and then if I don't have a dedication in my book, I want to remove dedication.
Okay.
And put in like intro, a disclaimer, and some other features instead of the
instead of having other things that are there. Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
how do you do that without messing up the template, because it's so fragile, it can only be so flexible.
Okay, so let me kind of point out here. When you open your template in Microsoft Word, there are a couple of things that you're going to see. You're going to see all of this information here, right? And the first thing that you want to do is make sure, if you're seeing this little button up here,
right,
you want to make sure that you click that button, because it then defines what you have as page breaks. And it pretty much allows you to be able to remove or add anything that you feel like removing or adding, right? So if you want to go ahead and you wanted to add, I think you wanted to add, what exactly was it?
The introduction.
You wanted to add your introduction, okay. And you wanted that to go exactly where?
Right before the table of contents.
Okay,
right before the table of contents. Either after the table of contents at the bottom.
Okay, so right below here.
Yes.
Okay, so typically what I would do here is that I would just go ahead and copy everything here, including the page break, right? So I would just copy all of that, including the page break, and I would just copy that. let me just go here. I'll probably just hit this enter button here just to enter, just paste this here. And I would just Control V. Right? So what I've actually done here is that I've pasted now something below the page break. And it's going to be basically the same exact thing as the publisher's notes. Now, I know I don't want the publisher's notes there, so I want an introduction. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight here. I'm going to just go ahead and say introduction. Go ahead and delete that. And I'll just go ahead and delete some of the content, not all of it, because you always want to kind of keep that information stable. I'm going to go ahead and delete that there. So now I've got my introduction. Now I can put in any content I want to put in here in between those two words, which is fairly easy, right? So you can go ahead and put in your content, whatever you want to drop in here, right?
Right.
So once I've done that, when I hit this section here, because I want this to be updated, I'm going to go over to References, and then I'm going to click on Update Table. And what it will do is that in the table of contents, it will now place in the introduction.
Okay.
So
good.
Great. So I'll do that at any point in time, even if I want to remove chapters. What you typically don't want to do is to do anything to your existing table of contents as it is, unless you are creating your paperback version. And there are types of paperback versions that you want to create, because I know that everyone is kind of turned on or tuned into Kindle Matchbox now. So everyone is kind of high on paperback. The only difference in this, in terms of when you're creating this, is that if you want to add in page numbers, of course that wouldn't work with a digital book. But if you want to add in page numbers, everything is controlled here. So it's very, very simple. So if you want to remove chapters, I could do that. Typically what you want to do, of course, is to start at the last chapters, and you can just delete them all the way down until you get to your About the Author. And that's fairly simple. So you would just go ahead and delete. If I wanted to delete chapter 14, I would just go ahead and delete that there. And make sure that your page break still remains, because your page break really and truly determines the break between that. The only difference between the Kindle and the Nook versions really is that the Nook doesn't use page breaks. It uses something called section breaks. So that's the only difference. So seeing as how I've deleted chapter 14 here, all I've got to do is click here and then click on Update Table again, and chapter 14 is gone.
Okay.
So I can amend, I can add, remove chapters as I have a mind to. And go ahead.
In your chapters, when you go down into the context, the body of your book, do the chapter titles need to be the exact same as you want them to be used in the table of contents, correct?
Pretty much, correct.
Okay.
Right, because if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to change chapter 1, you never ever have to do anything into the table of contents. The table of contents will automatically update. So if I wanted to call chapter 1 Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, let's say Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and that was the name of chapter 1, I would just type that in there, and then I would place my content in. And then once I've done that, the only thing left to do is I would go back here, and again, once you're in the References tab, just click on Update Table, and it will update Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. So you never have to do anything to the table of contents. The table of contents will always automatically update, and it will be a clickable link.
If you're going to add an appendix to the bottom of your contents, you go ahead and put the appendix in the book, then you come back and add that under your About Author or before the About Author?
Right. Well, if you want to do that, then it's pretty much the same thing. All you've got to do is to copy exactly that, something like this. Once it has the header, the content in the center, and the page break. And you can pretty much place that anywhere you want to go. So if I was doing that, I would just copy the dedication, seeing as how I already put the introduction there. I would just copy that. Let me just make sure, because this seems to have gone down here. You don't want that to be the case. And now I've copied all of this here. So I just right-hand click on copy, And if I wanted to, let me go to the end. And if I wanted to, I want to place it before the about the author. I just hit the enter key here, and then I just click Control V. And then I would call this appendix.
Okay.
And then, once I've done that, then I'd go back to my table of contents if I was done. And then, of course, I would go here, references, and then update table. And then once I hit update table, here you go with your appendix automatically appearing here.
Okay. Okay, so, good. That's helpful.
Great. Awesome, Dennis. Okay, man. Thank you. What else? Anything else you want to talk about that you've been having a challenge with?
That's all for right now. I appreciate it.
Awesome. No problem, buddy. Okay. So I'm gonna mute you, and I'm gonna try and unmute Bill. Bill, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Awesome, Bill. Awesome. I can hear you loud and clear now.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So go ahead, buddy. Let me know what is your boggle?
Okay, my boggle, if I knew what a boggle was.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. I'm not interested necessarily in the technical parts, because hopefully I would outsource that.
Excellent. Okay.
But what I am interested in is the strategic.
Okay.
Now, the number one strategic question that I have is, well, I want to start making $3,000 a month.
Okay, awesome.
And I want to know the quickest way to do that. I noticed that the zero content approach I found enlightening,
Awesome.
And I was wondering if there was a way to do that quickly and market it so that, in a reasonable amount of time I'd have sufficient books with sufficient profits, per book, so that it totals $3,000 a month.
Yes, I mean, let me put it this way. Zero content books are absolutely brilliant in terms of time saving. And more importantly, there is always going to be a constant demand for that type of product. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about in terms of a zero content book. There is always going to be demand for it. It will never ever go away. So unlike with a regular title, as you would know, every title, every book has a lifespan. Once it goes, it kind of reaches that pinnacle where no one has read it and everyone wants to read it till it hits a plateau, and then it's going to go down in terms of sales. One prime example, let's just say, for instance, Harry Potter. When Harry Potter at its height, it's a wonderful book, even better in terms of the acting and those guys putting out that movie on it. But Harry Potter is not around anymore. So every single publication has a lifespan. And as publishers, we have to be aware of this, which is why publishing companies keep coming out and looking for new types of content. With zero content books, there really is no lifespan, unless, of course, it's a calendar or a weekly planner or a daily planner that's focusing in on that specific year. So if I was just starting out now as a member of Speedy Publishing and I wanted to get to that point, I would begin immediately by looking on my niche reports, because that's where you would want to start, right? So I would go and I would head over and I would look on, not my pamphlets, I would download here, which is my zero content niche report. And this is from July. And the reason why it's still here is because realistically, there really isn't anything else to really add to it. These are probably the best niches that I personally have gone into, and I'm seeing sales in all of them. So if I wanted to start out, I would start off here. I would start off by looking on, wedding planners, diaries, address books, coloring books, day planners, daily planners. Let's go down, kitchen planners, monthly, spiral notebooks, Dare diaries, schedule planners, student planners, coloring books for adults, anatomy coloring book, all of these, homeschool planner, beauty diaries, workout planners, every single one of these, there is demand for them. And people are buying them on Amazon. And they're buying them on other retailers as well. And you can place them out there. And you can sell, it can take you probably 2 hours in a day to create one. And you can have it up. And once it starts to get traction and sales, it's kind of self-fulfilling. Other people will come and they'll buy. And that's typically how it works. And they'll keep on buying. And they'll keep on buying. And you can build an entire brand out of it. Right? So this is where I think that you should start. Start with zero content books that are like this. I'll give you an example. When we're putting together our crossword puzzles, we actually purchase the actual crossword puzzle from a company, and we place that. And it's not coming to mind right now, but we actually purchase that crossword puzzle, and we'll purchase 10 or 15 or 20 of them, and we'll use those crossword puzzles to populate the book itself. And that crossword puzzle can sell oodles. Now, there is a strategy that we use which is known as stacking. And do you know about that strategy, stacking?
No.
Okay. So let's say, for example, that we have a book which is on slow cooker recipes. Just to kind of break it down. It's slow cooker recipes. And in that entire book, I've got 200 recipes. And I have slow cooker beef soup recipes, if you can create soup in a slow cooker, but beef soup recipes, we have chicken soup recipes in a slow cooker, and we have, let's say pork soup recipes, if there's this thing as pork soup. But then I want to now take all of those recipes, which are specific recipes, right? Because I've got other slow cooker beef recipes. I'm going to take all the slow cooker beef soup recipes and all the slow cooker chicken soup recipes and all the slow cooker pork soup recipes, put them all together to create a slow cooker soup recipe book. So what we're basically doing is that we're taking content that we own, that we have the copyright for, and we're stacking it together to create another publication. And what that will lead to is that you're going to be able to create, if you create one book that's extremely large, you can break that book down into 2 or 3 different types of books that are targeting different individuals. So it never has to be just targeting one person or one individual who likes slow cooker recipes. They're going to be people who want to find out about slow cooker beef recipes, or you can market that to people who want beef recipes and not specifically slow cooker recipes. And those slow cooker recipes can be used to populate a beef recipe book. So what you consider, the first thing that you think about is that the content that you own, every single page, chapter, whatever, is an asset, especially in nonfiction and creative nonfiction. So everything that you own is an asset. And you can break down those assets and merge them together to create other products or publications. And you can stack them and do that across the board. Now, initially, when I thought about this, I thought it was going to be duplicate content. So I contacted Amazon, and I explained the situation to them, and I wanted to find out. And they told me it was absolutely fine. You don't need, as long as, A, the content is not freely available on the web, and 2, that you own the copyright for that content, and that content is yours. So in an instance like this, the reason why I'm saying this to you is because I saw one of our members literally apply the stacking strategy to what we were teaching here, right? So I'll give you the exact example of what I mean. So I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble, and let me go ahead and look for Speedy. Let's go Speedy Publishing. And let me go ahead and see if I can find a couple of these. I'm looking for, let me find the exact book that I want to. Here's another one of the books that one of our members has done, which is Wedding Planner. I'm going to find the exact one just to kind of explain to you exactly why this was the stacking, and I found it extremely cool. I said it was absolutely brilliant, and I had to take my hat off to them because I didn't start doing it. So I'm trying to find it. It's actually a coloring book that they have put together. Okay. Here's an example here. This is not the exact one I wanted, but it's an example. So this is a book that one of our members has put out, and it's called Wild Wild Animals Coloring Book, right? So it's a zero content book, and what it includes, of course, are, things that you can color in. Now, in an instance like this, you have different things that you can place in here. So you can have animals, and then, of course, you can have horses, and then, of course, you can have dogs, and then you can, of course, have dinosaurs. And then you can, of course, have other things, planes, trucks. I know we do have a trucks one that one of our members did. But what that person did at that time was that they now took everything that they have in terms of all of those different, the content that they have in there, the things that you would, of course, use to color the images, and they merged them all together, creating an entirely different coloring book. And so they took all of those ones that they had and stacked them all together, making a totally different publication and much larger publication. So if you kind of see where that strategy is going, if you kind of understand what I mean by that.
Yes.
Right. Excellent. I want to make sure, Bill, so that you understood. Because if you were to purchase or you were to create for yourself 20 different coloring books, you could merge 4, create one particular book. You could create 5 and make one particular book. You could, merge 10 and make another book. You don't want to kind of overdo it, right? But you can make a large coloring book, you can make a smaller coloring book, and you can extend all of that. So that's one aspect. So let me go ahead and get a notepad out, and then let me look on that. So that pretty much would allow you to deal with the stacking part of it. So you would stack your images, and you could take this into, if you wanted to, the same thing with crossword puzzles. Now, I don't want to kind of like give away what other people are doing, but for instance here, this book, which is called My Brain Teaser, is also a Speedy Publishing book, right? So it's of crossword puzzles. It's a zero content book. There's nothing that you have to actually write. Most of it is done with graphic and artwork, right? You download the crossword puzzle. It comes to you in what is known as EPS, or it's the same thing as, I think, as a vector almost. You can resize it to any size you want to, and you place it there with the answers. And you can merge all of those together. So in here, the person has My Brain Teaser Crossword Puzzles number 1. They also have My Brain Teaser Crossword Puzzles number 2. Now, they can end up having My Brain Teaser Big Book of Crossword Puzzles, which will have both puzzles number 1 and puzzles number 2. And they can keep on doing that, and they can stack and unstack that content. So if they started out with the big puzzle book, they can, of course, come down to the smaller puzzle book. And it means different publications. So it's not one single publication. So that's something that you can look on, especially when you're doing things like creative nonfiction as well. But then it gets better with the zero content books, and what many people just do not kind of comprehend. So we're going to look on another aspect of it, because we want to get to 4,000, right? So we want to get there kind of quickly. So we've got to look on how much we spend versus how much we make. So we're going to jump to a site known as 1 Hour Translation, right? So 1 Hour Translation is a company that we work with very, very closely even now. And they're an excellent service because the individuals who are translators here, they actually live in the country. Now, there are people who are actually going to know, you can speak Spanish. I didn't know until a couple of months ago that there was something called Castilian Spanish. The people who are in Cuba don't speak the same type of Spanish that the people in Mexico speak. It's kind of like a different dialect of some sort. And the people who are in Spain who speak proper Spanish don't speak the same type of Spanish that the guys in Mexico speak. So it's kind of different dialect as well. So that was very, very important. So if you're targeting a specific country, you want to make sure that you are, putting that, that the right type of content out. But there's something awesome about zero content books, because like children's books, they don't use a lot of written word content. So let's talk about not the brain teaser. Let's kind of go back a couple of paces here, and we want to look on the coloring book. So I'm going to go back to Speedy Publishing, and I'm going to type in coloring. So let's see what comes up. Okay, great. So, this is the book I was actually looking at, Dinosaurs and Monsters. And this is also one of our Speedy Publishing members. This is also one of their books. Now, if we take this, for instance, Dinosaurs and Monsters, there's actually not a look inside that you can actually see, so you can't actually look inside because it's not a digital book. But in this very same instance, here is one of the most interesting things. How much content, as in written content, do you think would actually be in a coloring book? Just off the top of your head, Bill. Word-wise, word count.
Word-wise, nothing. Other than
right.
Possibly
color hair, right?
Yeah, color hair.
Right.
An arrow.
Excellent, excellent. I agree, and of course you're going to have your front matter, which is going to be basic, right? But then let's say for instance that we wanted to get some kind of translation, and we would go here. Let's say translate now, and we can actually see exactly how much it would cost us to translate 5 words or 6 words in any different language. And you would use 1 hour translation to do this. And if you've got 5 words, let's just say for instance, you've got 5 words, or I'll be more realistic, I'll say 200 words. 200 words in English that go into Spanish would probably cost you about $15, right? Mm-hmm. That's how much it's going to cost you. So now that you have a zero content book that is going to be based on coloring, it's a coloring book, how difficult would it be for you to translate that book into Spanish for $15? Nothing.
Nothing.
Very, very simple, very, very easy. And now it becomes another type of book that you can also be selling in a different jurisdiction. And so you can target the Spanish market, you can target individuals who speak German, individuals who speak French, children who speak Portuguese, any kind of language that you think of that can work. And if you think that there might not be a big market for that, well, you are wrong. Because there are many people in, let's say, Amazon.de. So let's go to Amazon.de. And I want to go ahead and let me see if I could. I haven't actually searched for the term coloring books in German. So I'm going to go to Google Translate. And I have a friend who is from Germany, and I don't want to kind of destroy the language. So let me try and really get it. So let me go here and let me say coloring book. And I want to translate this to, let's see, to German. So we're going to look for German here. So this is what coloring book is. So we're going to grab that word. And there are 2 different ones here. So I'm going to grab that word here. Let me see. And there you go. Okay. So immediately the first thing that you already know what this drop-down thing kind of tells you. The minute it drops down, that means that people are searching for it. If it was a word that people weren't searching for, nothing would drop down, right? And it immediately tells you, I know that butcher, I think, means books. So if I was to click on that, as you can see, there is a market for it. And there are only 300 books that are competing with you. Now, if you know that it can take you a couple of hours to do 1 book, right? Let's say you decided to say, okay, well, I'll try and do 3 per day if I really have the time. And I'll get 3 of these done. And what you're really doing is that you're buying the coloring book. You're really buying the coloring book because you're not creating these images or drawing these images on your own. That's the first thing you want to know. And more importantly, if you were to get someone to do it for you, it would also be very cheap. But the key here is that you're doing this and you're targeting multiple markets. You're not just targeting English. This is what I think a lot of us kind of don't see all the time. It has to be global. You've got to think big because there is a very, very large market for this. So if you're thinking about coloring books, you convert your coloring books from English into German, or from English into French, or from English into Spanish. You make that coloring book. It's a zero content book, and you're good to go. Now you have something that you've created in an OWL that sits on a platform in Amazon Germany, Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.it, Amazon.es, Amazon.fr, every single one of those Amazon platforms. And the reason why I'm using Amazon is because everybody knows about Amazon. So I'm using Amazon. But of course, the same thing applies to Barnes & Noble. The same thing applies to other large book retailers globally. Right? So you just imagine creating that content once and really leveraging it. So every single other book publication that you're going to have is going to cost you $15 because it's going to cost you $15 to convert or translate the language. And that's it. And so it works the same way if you're doing something that you wanted to do on your own. So if you wanted to take the option of daily planner, and there's the German term for daily planner, and I went to Amazon.de, and this is an all search, so I'm really trying to find all of the competing books that might be there, right? Or all of the competing items that might be sold on Amazon for that. So here you go, tags planner, if that's how you pronounce it. So this is an all search, and how many competing books do we have? 100? 104? How many daily planners could we come up with, or how many daily planners could we create? Quite a number. And there are only 100 competing daily planners here. Very simple, very straightforward, very easy. So in my opinion, if you want to do that, you've got to create more publications, there's no doubt, but you want to do it in such a way that you can exponentially, I mean literally increase your overall catalog in probably just a couple of days. Because every single book that you create, you now have, with $15, you now have, let's say you have $100. So you create one book. I'm going to put $100 extra. It's going to mean I'm going to have 6 different books that I can now create for that. I'm also going for every single content, every single book that you're creating that has limited content, repetitive content, you're going to be able to create something else in a different language and reach an entirely different market. So the idea here is that you want to think of, if you end up having 100 publications, right, and your markup is going to be, let's say, $2, and you want to sell 1 per day, for argument's sake, if that was the case, right? You're going to multiply that by 30. How much are we looking on there? See where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to kind of do it like that. That is basically how I started out. And when I realized, because I started out with content-heavy content, that was content-heavy books. That was where I started out going, so I had to acquire the content and find really unique ways to acquire the content. And I realized the cheaper the content, the more time I had to spend on that content to make changes to it. And time is money. So I realized, okay, well, I've got to figure out a way to get people to send me content, or a way that I can actually create the content at a lower cost and less time. And so we began finding writers, and really good writers, whether they were in the United States or in Canada or on whatever continent. You know, we were able to get them. Once we found good people, we brought them into the fold and kept them in, and then had them just creating content over and over and over. It didn't even matter if we had topics that made sense. We just wanted the content in, and we were able to get that content in, and it worked very, very well for us. So in this instance, when you're looking for something like that, target something. Target and say, okay, I want to get to 100 books. if you can get to 100 books and then think about, right, that you want to add to each of those books, you want to add a language. So now you can see exactly where we're going with this. And then it now comes down to, okay, I have these publications. All I have to consider now is marketing. And I have to now push that marketing. I have to get the book out there. I have to get the book into retail platforms, retailers. That's where you want it, and not specifically traditional retailers. But you have places like Books A Million or Book People. Yeah, Books A Million is one such place that you can go to. So you can head over to Books A Million, and pretty sure that we should be on this here. Normally I'd have to look, let me go ahead and look if I see the ISBN, so I could search by the ISBN here. So that's what you really want. You need to get into different retailers, make your content available. Whoops. Right, so there we go. So you want to get your content into these different retailers. It's very, very important. If you don't have it in places like this, and this is paperback, it's traditional, so you want it to be there. You want to make sure that your book turns up in Books in Print. It's kind of like an office supply, but the reality here is that people will buy this. It's not just bookstores that will buy this. Places like Walmart will buy it. Places like Costco will buy it. Right? So again, it just boils down to how you're going to do this. A very little bit of marketing. We have, I think, a really good training session in Speedy Publishing that talks about offline marketing. And one of the cool things is that if you know that you're working with somewhere, I would probably say like CreateSpace. If you're in CreateSpace, make sure you get your own ISBN. But if you're in CreateSpace, you know that you can send out postcards to people with children highlighting your book. It'll cost you like $1 per postcard, or think probably less than that. In fact, depending, I think if you go to Click to Mail, it'll cost you less than that. And you can send out those postcards targeted to people, and they will come to your website and they will buy this book, or they'll go to the CreateSpace website or the actual link that you give to them and they'll buy your book. And they will want more stuff like this. They'll want more coloring books. They'll want more crossword puzzles. They'll want more daily planners. Every single year, people want a new planner. So you want to make sure that you have stuff like that. That, you know, anything that is image, a lot of images, more image content than written content, you've got to translate that. You've got to translate that, and you've got to get it out there. Even if at the time you believe that, okay, well, someone might come and purchase the foreign publishing rights from you, and then you can say, oh, well, I'll get a lot of money initially. The fact of the matter is, I don't wait on that. If a foreign publishing company sees my content and they want it and they think it's doing really well, it doesn't matter if it's out there. They'll take it. And they'll say, okay, well, you know, pull your books. And you pull your books, and they pay you up front, and then life goes on. So in my opinion, I mean, anything at all that you're doing now, if you want to get to that point very quickly, this is the way that I would do it now, to kind of really zone in or focus in on or hone in on something like this. And there are many other different ways that you can start to apply, but in terms of the least amount of time, the least amount of money, this is the way that I would go, for sure.
Good.
So does that help, Bill?
Yes, I thought that was excellent.
Thank you very much, man. And I want you to really think about it, because I do have, because you are one of your earlier questions. I'm looking down now, and I'm seeing that you sent in a group call question. So Liz, our CEO, is supposed to reach out to you. Definitely, she's very, very interested in what you had to say.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's going to drop you an email. Because we're all interested. But this is awesome, man. But this is the way, Bill, that you would have to. This is the way that you would have to do it. If I was starting out today, this is the way that I would do it. This is the way that I would do it, because it's a very, very simple thing to do. And as publishers, what you want to do is that you want to apply everything that you know. It's not how quickly you can. It's really not how quickly you can earn. It's what takes the least amount of time. Because it can quickly become a behemoth. It can quickly become something that you can't handle. It's going to be too heavy for you to maintain, right? because you're going to be creating books and creating books and creating books. These books already have a massive, massive demand. A massive, massive demand. But as you can see, the competition, unlike with on Amazon.com, is not really there. If you're talking about 300 coloring books on Amazon.de, there is so much room right there. I could probably take the time with the staff I have alone and create 300 coloring books over a period of time. Because the only thing that you're looking for, and just so everyone kind of knows, if I wanted to do this very, very quickly, I would go to 123RF, and I would start out by looking for vectors. Vectors are what you really want, right? Because vectors are the important part of it, and I would look for, let's say, dinosaurs. There we go. Right, and these are vectors, right? So in an instance like this, you can tweak whatever you have here. So let's say I took this here. As a vector, I think I'd be able to remove the actual color from this, right? And I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I am not sure how Suzette does it, but this is my understanding here. And she would take this and she would be able to pull out the actual color, leaving the outline. And that would be it. Now, of course, let's say that you bought, one of these vectors here for $10. And you want to have at least, I'd probably want to have at least 100 to 200. But I would start off with probably 50 just to be on the safe side. But the key here is that for every single book that you want to kind of diversify. You don't want to really use a lot of the same thing, because when the time comes, you can bunch everything up into one big coloring book, but you want to be able to segment it. So your stacking strategy has to start from day one, right? So you've got to look on that. And it's even easier if you weren't doing something like this, if you didn't want it to cost you. It's very simple for you to actually go to someone on Fiverr then, if you wanted to, and say, I want 1 sheet or 2 sheets of paper that are going to be a daily planner book. And they'll create that 1 or 2 sheets that you want, right? That's it right there. That's it. Because it's repetitive, right? It's going to be repetitive. And if they give that to you as a PSD, all you're required to do is to change those days. So if it's going to be day by day by day by day by day, so it's going to be the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, January, whatever, to whatever, you just do that. It's not going to take you a very long time to do, especially if you have the PSD that is set up, and all you've got to do after that is to change the number. And that's going to be very, very simple, right? So there are many different ways you can do it where you don't have to buy a vector. You can even do stuff. I'll give you an example. I think we've got a prayer book on Amazon, which is a prayer diary, right? And that's just lines, and it's selling. It's literally just lines. That's all it is. It's a 6x9 book, which is a prayer diary. That's just lines. There's nothing else in there. Nothing else at all. And I was so surprised, but, I thought that wouldn't work, but it was a prayer diary, and it's just lines, and it's selling like hotcakes. So, and it will always sell, because there's always going to be a demand for stuff like that. So what you want to do is that and then you can turn that into a different language. So you want to think of starting off by looking on about 100 of those publications. Just aim at the 100. Just get to the 100 publications. That's where you want to actually go. You want to get to those 100 publications. Once you're at that point, then you want to start looking on, how much you can generate in terms of a sale per book. One sale is all you want, right? And for everyone listening, this applies this very same way that you're looking on regular content. Because if you have 100 books, right, and you're trying to make $2, if you have 100 ebooks, it's not it's going to be a lot harder for you to kind of expand in that way, right? It's going to be less of a market that you're getting in front of. You want to have 100 books if you can get to that number or start getting to that number. When you have 100 books, you want to make sure those 100 books come in A, digital, which is your ebook. B, you want it to come in paperback, right? C, you want it to come in large print paperback, and I'll just go ahead and put LP for that. You want it to also come in audio. You want it to also come in audio CD. We did a lesson on that just the other day. It's absolutely free to do, and you can place it up on Amazon or any other service that you can do that on half.com. So you want it to come in audio CD. You want it to come in apps. So let's go quickly. You can also have it coming in Braille, and this is for written content, of course. You can have it coming in Braille. We did a great webinar on that the other day, lesson on that. So you want it to have it in every single format, but that's only one part of the equation. Because now that you're there, you want to, of course, have it on the biggest retailer for books on the planet, which is Amazon. But they are not the only retailer for books on the planet. You have Barnes & Noble. You have all of those other books, all of those other retailers that are there. Apple. You've got all of those other retailers. So you want to make sure your content is everywhere, in every format. Now, when you think about it that way, of course, it's going to take a little bit of time to get it into every format. But if you begin the process thinking about that in that particular way, then you're going to get there a lot faster. So if you think about, okay, well, I'm going to create a picture book. A picture book is great, but it's not a great audiobook. It's a great digital book. It's a great paperback book, but it's not a great audiobook. It might be a great app, but it's clearly not going to be a great book for Braille, right? So you want to think about what type of content am I going to create? What's the niche I'm going to choose before I start, even the process, because how are you going to deliver it, right? How are you going to send it over to everyone? How are you going to do that? You've got to think of the content. So one of the examples I used, which is limited content, jokes for kids, you think about something like jokes for kids. Jokes for kids, great digital, great paperback, very good for audio, very good for apps, and very good for Braille. So first of all, it can go into every format. So you want to make sure the niches that you're choosing can go into different formats, multiple formats. Then you start thinking about, okay, that's awesome. Now I want to get it on every single platform. And when you think about that and then you have 100 publications, there's some publishing companies that don't have more than 100 publications. And they're doing very, very well. So if you think about having your 100 books in that manner, then it's not hard for you to think about selling one version. Just one version of those books per day. So if you have your book, your Jokes for Kids books, or your Knock Knock Jokes book in digital, paperback, large print, audio, apps, Braille, whatever the case is, if you have an enhanced book, and there is also a lesson that teaches you how to create a video, a book, an ebook with audio and video in there. So just so you know, guys, it's there in the members area. Very, very simple. You create an EPUB 3, and then we walk you through the process of adding that video. But you create that. That also becomes another format that's going to become very, very popular. But if you have your book in every single one of these formats on every single platform that you can think of that will take it, it's not then hard for you to comprehend or believe that you can sell one version. And then now when you think about that, if you paid $15 to just translate one of those books, for argument's sake, well, not a zero content book, because that doesn't go into digital and doesn't go into audio or apps or anything like that. But if it costs you a very, very small amount of money, if you had a children's picture book, $15, that's what it's going to cost you. The children's picture book can still go into digital. It can go into paperback. It can go semi into audio, and it can go into Braille. So there are many, many different ways to think about it. So that's really what you want to concentrate on, Bill. Think about the content that you're creating, the different formats that you can place it in, the different platforms, retail platforms that you can sell it on, and then you're going to take it to the next level. That's really where you want to think about it. And then you've got 30 days. You know what I'm saying? You've got 30 days right there. So
yes,
that you're kind of looking on it from a much more realistic perspective at that time. So starting out from day one, choose your niche. And I said to you before, if I was doing it, it would be 0 content books. That would be the start. And then once I'm there, then I'm thinking about translating it and getting it into different languages and making sure I'm producing enough of them to think about and getting them on the right platforms to start thinking about, boom, it's just one I need to sell per day per book. It's just one. And in many different versions, that's very much a likelihood. So, yeah, it's not something that's going to be extremely, extremely difficult at all.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem, Bill. No problem. No problem. So we're going to start moving on. So, again, Bill, Liz will be in touch. So not to worry. Okay, buddy. Take care.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Stay online because we've got more questions to answer.
I certainly will.
Okay, great, buddy. Okay, who else? Great, Stacy. You've got your hand up. Awesome. Okay, so Stacy, I'm unmuting you. Stacy, are you there? Stacy, did you step away? Stacy, I can hear you now, though.
Hi.
Hey.
Could I hold one second. Could I sent my questions on the chat?
Okay.
Do you see them?
I'm actually looking for them now. Okay.
2 questions.
Okay. Da, da, da. Whoa. Okay. Here we go. Stacy. Okay. Okay. If a friend asks you to publish, is this the question? Stacy, is it if a friend asks you to publish a book for them?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. What's the best way to go about doing this? And that's one. And
right.
you set up accounts for them. Okay. For example, an Amazon account. If you really want to help them, if they have limited funds, how can you help them out, but at the same time make money from this opportunity? Okay. All right. Let's address the first one. Okay. Let's go. So if a friend asks you to publish a book for them, what's the best way to go about doing this? In an instance like that, my friends have asked me in the past to publish a book for them, and I've done it for free. The reason is that publishing has a couple of different facets, or there are a couple of different things that are included in publishing, right? If you are an author and a publishing company gives you a contract, they want you to do some of the legwork too. They'll put your book out there, they'll get your content distributed, and they'll make sure, they kind of set you up to do signings and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you've got to want to market your own book. You've got to be excited about you creating your own content. And that's one of the things that are part of publishing. You have to kind of understand, how much do they want you to do? If it's a case that they want you to do the formatting for you, that's one thing. If they want you to go ahead and handle distribution, that's another thing. If they want you to handle the marketing side of it, that's also another thing. So first of all, you've got to, of course, say exactly, hey, listen, what aspect of this would you want me to do for you? If this is something pro bono, let me try and take, something that would be the most difficult aspect for you to do. So if it's the formatting and getting your content formatted correctly to go into print-on-demand publishers, or for it to go into digital publication, or even audio to help with that type of audio, then yes, that's something pretty simple. But you would want to choose, exactly what you'd be able to help them with. Is it that the person is saying, here's my content, do everything, and then give me, a cut from it. If they're saying that, then you would have to sign them on to a contract that you would want to do them. Then it wouldn't be that simple, right? I would first find out what they intend to do, because it's not something that's that simple, right? We know it. We know what to do. We know there are different aspects to it. But if they sit down in front of their computer and they create a story, or they write a book, whether it's fiction, creative nonfiction, whatever the case is, it has to be formatted, just like how we discussed with Dennis before. What to do to get it to be Kindle ready, what to do to get it to be EPUB ready or print on demand ready. Those different aspects have to be addressed. So you've got to kind of know what it is that they want initially, right? So, and then if it's something that they're saying, well, I just don't have the money to do it, and then you, of course, have the time, or you have the staff that you can apply or give it to let them do it, then that's a good option, because then you'd be taking on a friend as as an author in your publishing business. Then you'd have to, of course, establish a contract. It always works out better, even between friends, to say, okay, well, look, I'm going to take X percentage from this then, right? And then, of course, you basically do that. And and at the end of the day, you can probably say, okay, well, yeah, all right, what I'll take is all the costs, everything that it comes up to that I would have spent to get your book to this point, I'll take that back out in royalties over a period of time, if you're really helping them out of a situation where they want to really kind of make some money for themselves. And karma is always good. so yeah, especially among friends. So yeah, so that's what I would do. Is first establish exactly what it is that they need, and then if they need everything, then work out a contract, because it's going to take your time. It's going to cost some money to get them to that point. So you want to make sure that you say to them, okay, well, let me sign you up to be a part of my publishing company, and then then I'll take you on as an author, and then kind of let them know exactly what the process entails. Okay.
Okay.
So if you really want to help them out and they have limited funds, how can you help? Yeah, that's what I would do. Kind of get that that boundary set. Take them on as an author. They'll be if it's your first author, then that's awesome. Especially if you think that the content is good. So if the content is good, then you're taking it and then you're sharing it. And that's not something that's very difficult to do, right? That's not something that's very difficult to do. All the training exists in Speedy Publishing for you to create an EPUB. We create EPUBs now. We work with a company that literally took our template that we have in Speedy Publishing and tweaked their software to make sure that it worked with us, so that when we create an EPUB, that EPUB is a valid EPUB. Now it can't create an EPUB 3 version, which is what you would need to do something like I think it's actually an enhanced ebook, whether it's going to be audio and video. It has to be EPUB 3, but it's a very, very simple process. Once you have that valid EPUB 3, it can take you all of 20 minutes to add that content. And the lesson I did, we took the book Moby Dick, and then we were able to add the video or part of a video from Gregory Peck's Moby Dick, the movie, and we plugged it actually into the book. Now things like that are awesome. Things like that are awesome, because at the end of the day, it now becomes a different format that appeals to the user. And as we can see, exactly where the entire market is going, pretty soon it will never ever be just the plain old PDF. Because what most people don't kind of realize is that tablet technology is going in the direction that there are so many bells and whistles to it. Eventually, the content that you're consuming on that tablet will be allowed to have so many bells and whistles too. If you end up taking your content now and not having your content available in that type of format, then you're going to have very big problems in the future, right? So you don't want to have that issue. So if you think about like Kindle Matchbook, and I think everyone here would probably know, and I know John and Jay and James are doing a webinar tonight on Kindle Matchbook.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that, and again, is because I knew about it like way before. But it was really never created for us self-publishers. That was never the purpose of Kindle Matchbook. Kindle Matchbook was created for the Wileys and the Macmillans. We're kind of getting the spin-off of it, right? Because if you had, let's say, Gone with the Wind then, right? Or let's say a book, let's say way back, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, or how to use Google AdSense, for argument's sake, way back when in 2000 or 2001 or thereabouts at that time. If that book came out and it came out in a paperback version, right? It was paperback. There was no tablet technology at the time that was so big on books. What those companies now have at their disposal is that Amazon is saying to them, hey, listen, for everyone who purchased how to use Google AdSense in 1999, you can now get the Kindle version at a dramatically low price. Now, if you can think about all those 300 million or more, I get to understand, that have purchased from Amazon in the past, that purchased only the paperback version, right? So imagine a Wiley. Wiley made their money, Wiley Publishing, the dummies people, made their money in print, not in digital. Digital has been really hot over the last, I'd probably say, 36 to 48 months. They made their money in print, right? So all of those print books are out there. So all of those print books that Amazon sold to all those people, Amazon has some kind of contact information for those people. Imagine now saying to a company like Wiley, hey, guess what? We'll go ahead and email all your buyers from all this time who have purchased every single book from you and tell them that you have the digital version available at this low, low rate. There's no way Wiley would pass up that option because that's a possibility of millions of dollars in sales, right? So it was created for those people. And what Amazon did was that they sat on that idea until the situation with Apple and the Department of Justice came to a grinding halt, right? And so, of course, those companies were soured because they kind of went into bed with Apple and colluded against Amazon. And now, so Amazon, instead of saying, okay, got you, Amazon is saying, well, guess what? We've got something even better for you now. They're going to come on board. And that's what pretty much has happened with Kindle Matchbook. So it was never ever created for us per se as, you know, as ordinary self-publishers. Not to say that it doesn't exist because it can. I'm just not seeing that it's going to be dramatically better unless you had a massive amount of paperback books out there. One of the things that you want to make sure that you do is to ensure that you have your book in as many formats as possible. And then once you've got over that, then it won't be such a hard thing to do because you will already have had your paperback book out there. It's really created for all those people who have
Other question, I have more questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I think it's a Kindle Paperwhite.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering, they are ebook readers like that. Do you know how much functionality they have? For example, I have a kid's book that I'm working on, and it has animations and stuff like that.
Okay.
Do you know to what extent these, or to what capabilities do these e-readers have?
I would say I think the Kindle Fire would be best for that. The Paperwhite can't really, it's not going to give the person a really great experience, especially with the animations. I know that they have been trying to upgrade, but for them, I think Amazon is more in tune with putting out new stuff, as in a new tablet, the Fire second generation. Your best bet would be there is on Apple. Apple would probably be the best person or the best platform for you to go with that, especially with all those animations that you intend to do. The Kindle Fire can also read them. You can also use them in apps, but the two main tablets that are out there really is just the Kindle and for consuming content and having a platform to buy that content all on the same tablet. The iPad and the Kindle are the best ones. Kindle Paperwhite, I don't think they're going to have really a great experience on that with what you intend to do. So,
okay.
yeah. So are you doing? I mean, is it strictly animations that you're looking on?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's going to be an interactive book.
Awesome.
With little animations and games at the end of the story.
Okay.
So I was wondering if to do a version that could be read on the e-reader, the Paperwhite. It wouldn't have the animations.
Okay.
But it will have the text and the pictures. So I was wondering if, should I put in that effort to do that, or should I just focus on the tablets that can support animation and interactivity?
Well, Apple will, of course, the iPad is the one that you would really get that level of interactivity from. Again, yeah, I mean, I would focus in on Apple. I would focus in on the iPad. A couple of people who I spoke to, and just so everyone knows, if you have any questions to ask me, please still fill in the group questions, because I'll be at Digital Book World next week in New York, which is the marketing seminar, and there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be there. But that being said, what you're doing here, a lot of those guys are very, very big. There is a very, very big market for animations, and there's a very big market for stuff like that in Apple, especially where apps are concerned. If you can get that content into an app, then that's brilliant, because then you can sell them in droves.
Okay.
That is very, very important. I think, is it Magic? It's not Magic School Bus. I'm trying to remember what LeVar is into, the name of his business. LeVar Burton, Geordi from Star Trek. He has a children's program, and I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. But when I spoke to him earlier this year in January, I was totally unaware of the size of the app market for children on Apple, on the iPad. I was astonished. I did not have a clue, and I now know why Kindle is moving to in that particular direction. So you will, of course, be able to do this with apps on the Kindle, which is Android. So you've got Google Play, and you've also got Apple, and you also have now the Kindle Store. So those are the three places that you want to focus in on, those specific tablets. So you want to think of what you have as content. Yes, make sure that you get it to be, saleable or sellable on in the iBook Store, and of course on Amazon Kindle and Google Play as well, because it's also Android. But you want to also get it into an app. You definitely want to get it into an app. Apps are becoming very, very popular. Very, very popular, especially
Yes.
on Kindle. So you want to make sure that you have that option if you're looking, and that's a good way to go. I will not lie to you. It's very technical, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you clearly have a good grasp of that, but yeah, it's not my forte, though. But yes, it's very, 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 very profitable, and it's very, very. There is a massive demand. I'm thinking here if I can find Easy Web. Let me not go here. I'm going to try and see if I can locate it. But there is, we issued something that was, I think, the Facebook pages that we had. I think I'm going to have to kind of post it here. I'm going to try and find it. But we have a page that has all of our Facebook videos. And there is a young lady that did something earlier this year at Digital Book World. One of her conferences, she spoke directly about children's content. And I'm going to try and see if I can find it and paste it. so that everyone can see it. But children's content is massive, very, very massive, big, 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 big. There has been a downturn because there hasn't been anything to kind of take the spot of Hunger Games in terms of young adult content. But in terms of those smaller kids, smaller children, that information is that demand is not going to wane for now. You're gonna be in a good state, especially if you're doing it in that way. No, just to kind of put it in short. But it's very good, and I'm going to try and see if I can get that that video back on the Facebook page because it's one of our Facebook pages. But it's very, 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 very popular. It's very, 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 very popular. You don't want to miss that for sure.
Okay.
Okay, Stacy.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, how difficult would it be to translate a kid's story that rhymes? Should it be done, even if the translated version may not rhyme?
This is the second time I'm getting this question. It might be a little bit difficult. I tackled the question by asking a friend who I think one of the hardest languages I think that we've come across to kind of get jokes over on is German. It's not been that easy. But it depends on your translator, which is what the guy told me. He said, I can get the joke, right? I can get it in English, but it's how you say it in German. So if you're doing a straight word-for-word translation, it might not come across in that way. So what you want to do is that you want to kind of liaise, or you want to talk to your translator and make sure that they're kind of comprehending exactly what's going on here. And if it's a standalone joke, then yes. I mean, once the person gets it, then yeah, they can get it. And then you can field test it, right? Because the way how one-hour translation works is that they actually have some kind of proofreading going on. So you can actually get someone to proofread the content. And if you're good with your proofreader, and a lot of the time you've got to just kind of establish that contact, or you've got to make sure that when you're speaking to that person, you try to develop that kind of rapport, that the person is comfortable talking to you. They will, of course, understand some level of English. Once you can get over to them, okay, well, look, you're translating my content. It's a book of jokes. You've got to get it before you translate it, right? And kind of make that clear, and then work with them to kind of put it. So you can do that, or you can get the proofreader to kind of turn it in a way that it becomes amusing. But it's not something that's difficult because you're still working with a translator whose native language is the type of content that you're translating it in. So that's really what you want to do. So if you wanted to go to something like Google Translate and try to translate it, it would be word for word. Google Translate is a machine. They wouldn't get it. So you'd have to get someone else to do that, right? And they'll be able to, whether it's rhyme or whether it's jokes or whether it's anything at all like that, the person who is translating it would be able to do that for you. If it would work out as a rhyme, possibly. It just depends on how or who that translator is and making sure that they understand the content. That would be very critical. So you wouldn't just go to like anywhere. There's also Translators Cafe. That is also good. I just choose to use one-hour translation, but I have used Translators Cafe in the past. But you have to kind of develop that kind of relationship with the person because you'll have more content for them to translate, right? For sure.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, you want to definitely do that. But it does make sense. It doesn't matter what there's always a market for it. The world is moving in that direction, right? So yeah, so that's typical the way how it works. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Can I ask you that accent? Let me guess. Is it Trini?
Yes, Trinidad.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Bye.
Okay. Okie dokie, guys. So let's head back to our attendees. Okay. Joanna, you've got your hand up. Let me go ahead and... Joanna, are you there? Are you back on? Okay. Okay, I've got Stacy's hand down. Anyone else ready, or should I go to the written queries? No one else sticking their hand up? Okay, so I'm going to head over to the written queries now, guys. I just want to double check. No one else? Okay, let's go into our questions. Okay, that was Stacy's last. Okay, John, I'm going to try to leaving screen and call in. Okay, I'm on phone. Okay, my 2 questions. I've written a book. I've written my book, all formatted and ready for Kindle. And CreateSpace, awesome. New age genre, awesome. I feel paralyzed about creating my listing. I have author bio and book description ready, and I'm nervous about picking the best cat for my title. 6 steps for enhancing your intuition, very nice. Plus bonus book, everything you wanted to know about past lives. Interesting. Okay, so the bonus book is past lives, and we're talking about enhancing your intuition. Okay, so this is a very, very kind of touchy subject, but let me see if we can find our BISAC code. So let me go ahead, let me just Control F here, and I'll just type in BISAC. Let's go BISAC. Okay, here we go. So what you want to typically do is that there's something known as BISAC codes. And BISAC codes kind of gives you everything that's out there that's kind of classifiable in content. So when you head to this lesson here, you're going to have a spreadsheet that is, of course, your BISAC codes. So I'm going to pop open that BISAC code here. And typically this is where you would want to start, right? So if I wanted to look for intuition, I would download this spreadsheet here and I would click on Control F, which is search in Microsoft Excel. And I would go here and then I would type in intuition, and then I would look for find all. I'm going to click here. So it's not telling me that intuition is here. So we'd have to look for something like past lives. Maybe that's something here. So we're not seeing that either. So that's typically not good. So I think probably what you're talking about here is it's not witchcraft. Let's say reincarnation. Okay, so we don't have that. So probably you want to kind of try to find something that fits within that kind of genre. If I was to look for something like that, I would probably, it's not social sciences, it's not health and fitness, it's possibly body, mind, and spirit. That might possibly be it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find that. Let's say body, mind, and spirit. There you go. So here we've got something. Here we go. Reincarnation. So I wonder why we weren't finding it. Let's go. Okay. So apparently I had clicked on something. Okay, so we've got reincarnation, right? So typically that kind of tells you where it would fall under. Now Amazon has instituted different BISAC codes now, which has basically standardized its Kindle offering. These you will find very easily in CreateSpace. So you would probably want to go on reincarnation or something like that, which is past lives. I think there's also channeling that you could find. Well, near-death experience is not really there, but you'd want to find channeling. See, but it would be on this page. But it would be in this particular section, which would be body, mind, and spirit, right? In terms of creating all the content that you want in terms of your author bio and your book description, of course you've got those ready, nice. Creating a listing, it's not very difficult. The best category that you want to do, you find past lives, I would go with reincarnation. Reincarnation is it's kind of pretty popular, but it's also very, very competitive. We've created a lot of content in these niches. We've created stuff on reincarnation before. I've created books on channeling, and I've created books on near-death experience, and of course, out-of-body experience. right? Spiritualism and these kind of things, is supernatural, are more kind of like way out there, but still, I mean, you can still create content and there still will be some level of demand. So like meditation here in body, mind, and spirit is a little bit different from other types of meditation, right? But it's very simple. I would choose this, which would be this code here, which would be OCC 022,000, and that's what you'd be looking for in CreateSpace and in Kindle, because I know Kindle has now gone into using ordinary and structured BISAC codes. So that's pretty much what I would use in terms of coding and trying to classify your book. You want to go there, afterlife and reincarnation. And to be honest, I'm going to be honest with you. Since Amazon has removed tags, if we're thinking about Amazon only, Amazon has removed tags. Tags used to help in terms of placing a book in a category. No longer do tags exist, so there is not an option, which is why you must be very, very careful on where you're going to place your content. I would choose this here because it's the closest thing. Now, with respect to intuition, I'm not really cognizant of what exactly you mean by that type of intuition. If it's something on the scary side, like what we're talking about here, which is the afterlife, I would probably say enhancing your intuition, I would probably say that would go into like self-help. So I would look more on self-help if there is something that fits with self-help for that. But I can guarantee you that there is something, you can find something that is pretty close in every single one of them, right? So I could possibly find, and it seems that all of these are clicked. Okay, no wonder I couldn't find it. Okay. Right, so just FYI guys, I'm not sure why each code is clicked or the header in each one is clicked. You're going to have to just make sure if you download this file, make sure that you go through and just check all of them, on-click all of them, because it will only search those. Okay, so it's not done for all of them here. But I would say self-help would be the other one. So I'd be looking for anything that had to do with intuition, whether it's personal growth or it's spiritual, whatever the case might be. So so you're going to be able to have, or motivational and inspirational, you would kind of have an idea what would fit your content. So you want to make sure that you choose the absolute best one, because for individuals who are searching for your book, they'll find it there. There's also the case where there are many affiliates for Amazon and affiliates for other book resellers. They will take that content, they'll take your BISAC code, and they'll use that to classify your book on their website. And if you place your content in the wrong category, then the affiliates for Amazon who are also marketing your book might just never find you. So that's also something you want to make sure. So I'm thinking here, self-help and I think body, mind, and spirit. So it's going to be afterlife or reincarnation. Those are the two that I would come up with. So I hope that helps. I think you had mentioned New Age. Say find all. So it's not coming up with that. It's possibly because I've actually probably, there's still some clicked here. But once you click off all of these, you'll be able to do an automatic immediate search. Here you go. Right, so once these are clicked off, you'll be able to do, a good search. Did I just highlight a couple of things there, right? So you'll be able to search the entire worksheet. So let me go ahead and click on Control F, or maybe I was not doing that. There you go. Workbook. New. Right. Silly me. So, okay. So we're talking about New Age. Let's see if New Age is actually found here. There you go. So you've got it. New Age. Well, this is genre and styles, and this is under music, so it's clearly not that New Age that we're talking about. Let's find the next one. Right, and that's the only New Age that we're finding there, so it's definitely not New Age, right? Yeah, definitely not New Age there, so we would not want that. So I'm thinking just those two would basically be, so just for everyone, remember to hit the options button and make sure you search for in the entire workbook, just to be on the safe side. So you can search for anything here. So if we're looking for reincarnation, hit that, boom, there we go. Reincarnation and the afterlife. So you can have this on your desktop, you know, all the time. You don't have to worry about finding BISAC codes or going somewhere to search for BISAC codes. All of the codes are here. And we know that there's going to be an update to it, and once we get the update, this will be automatically updated, and you'll be able to download the new set. And I'll kind of let everyone know in an email that this is the case. Okay, I hope that helps, Joanna. Okay, tested my mic, it's working, Dennis, awesome. And if a friend, that was Stacy's question. Okay, Amazon account. At the same time, make money from opportunity on the phone. My birthday today, I was looking for getting a question answered. Okay. Right, Jana. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Happy birthday, by the way. Okay, let's see the prayer diary. Dennis is asking, let's see the prayer diary. I think that one is on Amazon.com. And let's go prayer diary. Whoops. Let's go prayer diary. Gonna try and find it. Oh wow, they're like 600 and 600 plus. And I'm not going to actually find it. I'd have to actually log in to kind of find that one right now. I'll probably try. I'm going to be sending out the replay for this. I'll try and include the link for it in the replay. So when you get the email for the replay, then it would be there. But all of these are similar. I mean, it's just a prayer diary. I think I saw one that looked quite simple, with zero content in there. There was also one, Bird Watches Diary. I remember that one distinctly. Bird Watching Diary. Here we go. Diary for Daily Prayer. Okay, let's look on this. Then this is not one of ours, right? Let's see. Okay. Okay, so these actually include actual prayers, which is not, but there you go. There are a lot of blank pages that are involved. This is not really a prayer diary, so to speak. This is more like, I'd probably say, a diary that gives you, Psalms or something like that. It's not a prayer diary, so it's not supposed to look like this. But they have it like this. I'm gonna include that link in the replay just to make sure, so that you can actually see a copy or a version of that. But prayer diaries are very popular. Awesome, Bill. You got one. Okay. Okay, good. Says, so you could have one coloring book in 10 different languages, in 10 different platforms. That's correct. That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. You've got to have, that's how it works. Okay, Joanna, teaching people how to do psychic readings. Okie dokie. Gotcha. Yeah, that's some scary stuff. I can tell you my team did not like the channeling and reincarnation and afterlife and out-of-body. I think they call it OBDE. Right, that's what they call it. Out-of-body experiences. OBEs. Right. So they were very scared. They did not like it. Okay. What are the fastest selling no content books to start with, such as coloring books, calendars, puzzles, etc.? The fastest selling books are pamphlets. I will tell you that. Just based on an ROI perspective, fastest to sell, pamphlets. They will sell like crazy. Just once you get them in the right, in the right way. And I'm going to give away something here that I know I should not give away, but someone will chop my head off. But I know. This is what we basically do. So we go to somewhere like, let's say, bar charts. So you guys are getting some really good information today. So if you want to create pamphlets, which are very, very simple and easy to create, please remember that this is the way how to do it. Bar Charts Inc. is possibly one of the largest companies, along with B6, that create quick study guides in the form of pamphlets. Good thing about this is that they create them in using the ordinary publication methods, right? So let's take, for instance, if I was to go into what they're selling. And this is kind of sniping what they have. But I'll go somewhere where I know that probably there's going to be something good here, that one of the ones that we've done before. So let me go ahead and look on, let's say, Algebra. Now remember what we know about pamphlets. And pamphlets are things that are constantly used, not easily remembered, right? So pamphlets are the fastest selling. Just so you know, we're still going to come back to the coloring books, just to make sure that you know. But these are the fastest selling. So if you wanted to do stuff like pamphlets, you would grab that ISBN, for instance. So here's Algebra Fundamentals Quizzer, right? And you'd grab that. I'd go ahead and grab this ISBN. I'd copy it, and I would go to my trusty Amazon.com. And I would plop this ISBN in here, and I would look and say, okay, this pamphlet, as a pamphlet, go ahead and take a look inside. As you can see, this is a pamphlet over 100 questions, test questions, blah, blah, blah. Now, this looks about 6 pages, right? Is it 6 pages? Looks to be like 2 pages to me, because I'm only seeing 2 pages here. Right, just want to make sure. It's possibly 2 pages. Now here's the thing with stuff like this. All of this is unique content. There is nothing here that you cannot find. The definition for algebra is not unique content. These formulas, these quotients, the real number system, basic algebra terms, complex fractions, all of these are not unique content. You can find these anywhere, and no one can tell you that you are plagiarizing, you know, Pythagoras' theorem, because it's not something that you can actually, it's not copyrighted, right? And these type of formulas are not copyrighted either, right? So that's clearly what you want to think about in the first instance. Now, having said that, we can see that this is being sold for $6.26. I want to basically look on the number of pages, right? When you find something like this, the first thing you want to do is to look on the Amazon bestseller rank. You don't want to choose something that has an Amazon bestseller rank below 50, above 50,000. Anything that has anything above 50,000, bad idea. Don't take it. Don't choose that niche as a pamphlet, right? You want to make sure that you find things that are hot. So I'd look for stuff like, let's see if pre-calculus is like that. I'll go quickly. Absolutely awesome. An Amazon bestseller rank of 4,765. So that's brilliant. Lots and lots of sales. How many pages on this? 4 pages. Is anything, for those of us, I did pre-cal in university at UE, by the way. Stacy at UE back in the day. But if Mona Campus, but if this is something that this is not unique content. This is content that is the same. You can replicate this content a million times over. Now, if you think about this really carefully, if this is being sold at $4.46, it probably costs about 40 cents or less to make this entire pamphlet, right? And when they're selling it at this rate, because we know this is possibly not being sold through Amazon per se, it's really being sold through Amazon FBA, the person is actually probably getting about $3 at the end of the day from this. So you can imagine a markup or a margin of $3, and you're selling this many in books, not Kindle. You can just imagine if you had a Kindle bestseller rank of this, much less an actual books bestseller rank for that. And that's awesome. And they're like 61 in mathematics, right? So you know that automatically if you're going to do something like this, pre-calculus, very, very big. Very, very big for pamphlets. But that's how we basically do it. So we kind of snipe out from the big guys what they're actually putting out, and then look on all of those books, and then we choose our best niches, right? So that's for pamphlets. And if you want to make the most money really, really quickly and like, you know, short term, you want to look in this direction. It's a little bit more complex, and we talk about that more in the training on what you want to do, because you've got to work with, of course, your publisher and where they're going to send it, and work with a really good publisher to get it done, right? So it's a little more complex. But to come back to your question, if you're looking on what you want to actually create for zero content books, the best ones, I am going to tell you that we've seen the most success with, crossword puzzles easily. Wedding planners are very popular. Coloring books are very popular. Photo albums, very, very popular as well. Because photo albums are actually just a little album, a little box, which is more, it's more on the design side rather than the actual side where you would actually say, okay, well, like something you could do in Microsoft Word. It's more on the design side. So you would color the back of your page, and then you would put in a little box that would go in there. That's all a photo album is. It's something that you're going to put something inside, and they're going to be able to stick their image there, right? So stuff like that, very, 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 very popular, right? And more importantly, you want to find things that Amazon is driving traffic to. You've got to find stuff like that. So if I was to go, and I'm not sure, I'm just shooting off the hip, let's go to pagewash.com. I'm going to go to pagewash.com, and because I'm in Canada, I've got to use PageWash to kind of get the Amazon. Okay, so yeah, they constantly do this if you use Google Chrome. They've figured it out. So let me go to that, and let me see if they've figured. Well, it says the proxy is running on a non-server, which means retrieval is not submitted. So I'm not sure why it's doing that, but if you go to PageWash, I'm going to try and refresh it. Maybe possibly can change. Nope. They have, let's remove all, hide refer information. I don't know. Maybe that will change it. Okay. Still not working. I'm not sure why this is not working right now, but if you were to go to google.com ordinarily, and I haven't figured out a way to actually get google.com and not send me to Google CA, but if I was to look for, let's say, google.com, and then I wanted to go into, let's say, photo albums. Typically, I know that Amazon doesn't actually market here in Canada for terms like this, but in the US, they will. I'm going to try that again, and hopefully PageWash gives us a break. Let's try google.com. Can't remove all ads. No, it seems to be that retrieval of secure URLs through a non-secure proxy is forbidden. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see if that works. No, it just still gives me, telling me and it's not working. So I'm going to try it back here. Let's see if we remove that. Yeah, it's still giving me that option. CGI proxy or whatever proxy sites. I'm not sure why it's giving me that. But what you want to basically look for are things that you can find Amazon marketing for that term. So if you're in the US right now, and maybe I should ask anyone, if you're looking on it right now, if you can search for photo albums or crossword puzzles or journals or diaries, and in fact, I can actually find that. I could actually probably find that on my own in SEMrush, SEMrush.com. So this is one of the ways that we kind of snipe out the information here. So very cool. So I'll go to Amazon.com, and I don't do this anymore actually, as in me personally, like the team, NADS, and everyone else. So I'm going to go to ads keywords, and I'm going to look for a specific term, like say, and this is showing me all of the terms that Amazon is actually advertising for. So I'm going to look for photo albums. So let's go to Let me just type in photo to see exactly if these guys are actually advertising for this particular keyword term here. So here we go with Photoshop, Photo Essentials, Old Miami Photos. It's a lot of photos here. So here we go. The term photo album sale, they are driving traffic to Pioneer albums. So it's not really the keyword that we want to see. So let's say photo albums, Photoshop. Let's try something that's a little bit more targeted. Let's try crosswords. See if they're driving any traffic to the term crosswords or crossword. Okay, so we've got USA crosswords. They are driving traffic to that. So let's see where they're driving traffic. So there you go. So they're driving traffic to the term USA crosswords. So if you come up with, well, it's the USA Today. That's the USA Today's crosswords. But you can put it in. Here's puzzles and crosswords. So they're driving traffic to that term too. Puzzles and crosswords, or puzzles crosswords. Let's see where they're driving that to. Okay, so they're driving it here. So they're driving traffic back to terms like this. So that's typically a no-brainer for you. Normally Amazon has something that is called like a freshness meter. If your book is pretty new and your book gets out there, the minute it begins to rank and then any sales start to happen, it will start to move up in the ranking. And that's something that's going to be positive for you. So they're driving traffic to all kinds of terms. Puzzles and crosswords, difficult crosswords, right? And here you've got difficult crosswords, tickle your funny bone with humor and entertainment books. So you've got difficult crosswords. Let's see the exact page that they're driving that traffic to. Difficult crosswords. So there you go. If I wanted to, I could create a book that said difficult crosswords. There are 156 different competing crosswords there. And if I did that, let's see if there are actually anything that comes up. Okay, so there are 11 that actually have the term difficult crosswords somewhere in there, right? Not very bad at all. So what you want to find is that terms like this that Amazon is driving traffic to, you can match it back to this here, right? So you can look for stuff like daily plano, day plano. I look for that. So it's typically anything, to be honest with you. I normally like the crosswords because crosswords work very well. You've got Mom's Daily Plano. I think that's probably a target. Daily Planner Books, Spiral Daily Plano. These are all the terms that Amazon is actually buying traffic for. So if you search for these terms in Google, you'll find an ad that might say planner for moms. So daily planner for moms. Let's see where they're driving that traffic to. And they're driving that traffic to planner for moms. Actual keyword. So if I was to go here, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so they're 1 to 16 of 98. So planners for moms, or planner for moms, purple pebbles. Let's see if we can actually, I'm not sure if any of these, okay, here's one with a look inside Mom's Ultimate Daily Plano. Let's see, Moms, I consistently feel pressured on the calendar. I love Mom, who knew? It's not showing me anything in terms of the zero content, so there seems to be a little bit of content in there, but in my opinion, that's just too much because what you want to do is just make sure the person can actually just put their information in. Here's a nice one, Purple Pebbles. Do they have any? Okay, so here we've got a chance to look and see. Right, so this is basically what stuff like this looks like, right? Family Time Mine. This is what, do you see how easy this is to create? This is very, very simple to create. If you got one of these created, you could actually just get it done and then just change it, because there's like 12 of them and you can just run it based on the day and the time. Not very hard at all. Let's see if this has been doing well. Okay, so this has a bestseller rank and it's in Office Products. This is 37,745, right? This is easy. This is easy to do. This is simple to do. And you can publish this through CreateSpace. You do not have to do this through Amazon FBA. Very simple, very straightforward. And it doesn't have to be spiral. It can be paperback or perfect bound. So it's very, very simple. None of these have to be spiral bound. That's something that you always want to remember. It doesn't have to be spiral bound. So I think healthy baby meal planner, this might, okay, so this has child approved recipes. So that's not something that you would want to grab onto. But you want to be able, okay, here we go, pregnancy planner. Okay, this is also spiral bound. Let's see. And this has a decent rank in 349,000 in books. Can we actually see inside here? Okay, here we go. So it's just based on date. It's just based on date with some generic content. It's just based on date. Should you exercise? So this is page 32, page 28, 37. This is what it is, Chronicles of a Baby Planner. There is nothing more than just date and time in here. That's all it is, pregnancy journal. Here's one. If we can look on this one, let's see what the pregnancy journal says. Day-to-day healthy happy guide. Okay, there you go. What was your pregnancy a surprise? What did you begin to think about having this baby, or when did you think about having this baby? So it's simple, repetitive, non-unique content. This can be created in Microsoft Word very easily. You can create this in Microsoft Word, not difficult. As you can see, it's a series of questions. And then you've got some stuff here, but this could be a series of questions. And then here's something that I guessed, this is like, I think this is your index, more probably keyword convergence more than anything else, rather than a very strong index, I think. But this is fairly simple to do. You could create your own pregnancy journal. That's what it's all about. So it would not be a very difficult thing. So you should be able to choose a couple of those books. I love crossword puzzles. I love coloring books. I love, I think, planners, because they're very easy to create. And they can be translated very easily. And once you get behind them and put them out there, cannot be a very difficult thing for you to do in terms of time. If you're managing your time correctly, I would try, if I did have the time, to create at least one zero content book for myself every day. When I discovered it, I did that. I did find the time to do that. But no, I am kind of really focusing on other things, you know, especially distribution and building Speedy code distribution and the way how it should be built. So, so yeah, that is typically the way how you would want to go and what you specifically would want to do. So that's where I would start, Dennis. That's what I would look on. Crossword puzzles are, to me, the best option to go with. Coloring books are also awesome. Different diaries and planners are also awesome. Okay, puzzles. What are the tools Amazon provides to include video opt-ins and pictures in book descriptions? Okay, so here's the thing. I know that you can place, okay, how do I put this? You can do a lot of stuff on your description page. You can put videos in there. You can put images in there. You can add JavaScript. Here's the reason why I don't do it. The most that I will do is add an image that links back to another page, right? I do not sanction or support trying to load your description to make it something that takes away from the book itself. The reason why you're going to put something in your description is to really create a funnel, right? That's what you really want to do. The minute that you're linking out and you're not linking on an Amazon page, it can cause a very serious problem. I've seen guys doing a lot of stuff that are adding all kind of things to the description page. I can guarantee you, look, the powers that be, they're not going to, you know, work with that for very much longer. When I spoke to the guys who were at Kindle at a specific booth and showed them that I was able to put an image inside the actual description. They told me that merchandise, which is Amazon has a merchandising department. If you're publishing your book and you're selling your book to Amazon, Amazon has an entire department that will look on your content. They'll say, okay, we'll help you to push this content, and they'll put it to #1. It would be stupid of us to believe that Amazon themselves cannot manipulate the A9 search engine. They can. They can make a book #1 if they wanted to, and that's pretty obvious. So they can put anything they also want to inside that description box. Here's a problem. That's typically for merchandise to do. And while many people might not see that right now, that merchandise is doing that because they're doing that for a lot of bestsellers. They're adding that type of thing for bestsellers. You start throwing in all kind of things in your book description, and Amazon starts sniffing that out, they'll just remove it, right? They'll just take it away. You don't want to do overkill. You want to lead someone down a funnel. You want to make sure that if you're doing something like, let's say diabetic diet plans, and I always use this example because if you're not using a real proper example, then you're going to be in an issue. I use a simple method. So I have my book here. When someone scrolls down, you have customers who also bought this item also bought. But if they're looking on the description, they can see this link here. They can click on the actual book itself, and it takes them to another book on Amazon, which is also from me. So the point here is that when you're doing stuff like that, are you doing it to try and entice the person to buy the book, or are you doing it to ensure that you keep a funnel? The biggest influences that are there should be inside the book. Your book is like the movie, as I mentioned before. A couple of things are going to influence the purchase. You know, why am I buying this book? Which is 1, the number of reviews, which is 2, who exactly is writing this book. So for the most part, when you're doing stuff like this, and this is of course for just, you know, vision, just kind of to kind of explain it here for you guys. This is one of the reasons why I created this. You want to put your about the author at the beginning of the book, right? In your sample data. You want to make sure you tell the people what's inside the book, right? Before you get to anything else. So for your Kindle version, normally you want to go ahead and put your about the author there first. Why should I read this? Who is this guy, right? Who is this person? Why should I actually buy his book? So you want to make sure that you have your influences right there, because this is your sample data. Just as important is, you know, these particular reviews is the same thing that your sample data is going to be important as well. You have the option of creating these types of images and adding them to your page, right? These are good images, enhance sales by 268%. So it's important. If someone decides to read through my description, I've got another book here that they can click on. So it keeps them in a funnel. Then I go down further and I can add in my about the author, and I can add in all this stuff here in the about the author section. And I add a link here that links out. But all of these links, note, are still heading back to the Amazon page. And these help well in sales. As you can see, 27,000, still for a 99% book. This book makes me at least, I'd probably say, $150, and it was done as a test. So, and it cost me about $200 to make, and it's been around for, let's see, when exactly did this book come out? So it's not showing me. But it came out, when it did come out, it's not really, here we go. So it came out in April, right? So we're talking about April, May, June, July, August. So in the last 5 months, I've made approximately about, I'd probably say $800 on a $200 spend. Well, no bank is going to give me that type of interest. And it did take me almost like 2 days to create. So, and when I say create, as in the staff put it together, ordered the content, got the cover done, and placed it out there. So there are other things that you want to concentrate on. Trying to kind of buff up your sales page is one thing, but using things like for 2013 is important, especially when you're doing things like nonfiction. You want to make sure you do stuff like that, right? Because that's also an influential that tells a person that it's current, right? So when you're doing something like diabetic recipes, you can come out and you can place on your tag new for 2014. I can take some of these recipes, and they're strong vegan recipes in there. Let me just make sure that I'm telling you the right thing. Okay, so I can probably take, a lot of these are diabetic that. It just means that certain things are excluded, right? I can take these snack recipes and plug them with other snack recipes and make a snack recipe book. So this is part of the process of stacking. So it's still based on the content that you have. So while, yes, you can place a lot of that stuff in there, you've got to think about what is the real purpose of it. Think about your influencers, your reviews, your sample data, and your cover, the most important things. When people search for diabetic diet plans, and if they're looking for that particular term, the cover is what's going to pull the person to that particular book, right? So let's say health book here. This is blank. Nobody's going to click on this, right? pH Miracles, Paleo Diet. This is the, of course, I think it's the paperback version. There you go. Diabetes Plan, End of Diabetes, Diabetes Diet. All of these here that are here have good-looking covers. That's the first thing that's going to grab the person. The next is going to be the title, because they're going to look and they're going to see, okay, new for 2013. Okay, what are these guys saying? No one has that. It's not new for 2013, right? So, okay, well, obviously it's here. It's my paperback. I'm competing against myself. But no one else has that, right? So they don't put in new for 2013. Very big mistake, right? Very, very big mistake. You want to put stuff like that in there. And once you click on that and you head inside, then you want to know that you have these couple of images here. And then when the person gets down here, they're going to want to read more. And more importantly, the first thing that many people do is that they look on this. Now remember that at least 70% of all Kindle sales take place on the device. So a lot of the stuff that you're seeing here does not really happen on the device, which is why the main thing that determines sales on the device are the sample data and the reviews. So on-device sales, much different. So you want to make sure that when the person gets a sample of your content, they know who you are and why they should be reading your book. They know what's going to come inside the book, and they want to be able to get a couple of things or a bit from the book itself. So those are the three things that you want to make sure that find its way into your sample data. And of course, the price has to be right. And, sorry, more importantly, your title has to be well put together. And then, of course, you've got to have a couple of reviews. But when people get here, if they are not interested in this, or they are also interested in this, they can click here, Herbal Remedies. This is by the same author. So I'm keeping them in a funnel, right? And that's one of the important things. I don't need the videos and the bells and whistles and everything like that. That's not really important. You've got to concentrate on the things that will ensure that there are conversions versus just, you know, yes, I've got a really great sales page. You've got to get the people there, but then the sale has to convert. So that's also very important. So yes, while you can do it, I don't encourage it because I think it's going to cause a real problem with the guys from Amazon eventually if it's not causing problems already. So I would stick to that, and of course, if you want to do that stuff, as I just described, you want to head to Advanced Speedy Sales Pages, where you can actually download all the codes that showed you how to do that. You click on that. Here are all the codes to do that. So you can add your hyperlinked book text, you can add your hyperlinked book image, you can add your book images, and then we go through the video here to kind of tell you exactly what to do here at 10.11 Advanced Speedy Sales Pages. So again, I don't talk about video in that because I don't really sanction it and I don't really like it, to be honest with you. So I hope that helps, Mary. Okay, where can I find a children's book illustrator? Okay, I would probably go with Elance. Of course, there is our own service, which is 24-hour covers. You can get, let me go ahead and put that in there because Suzette told me to make sure that, you know, we do have someone who is pretty awesome at illustrations now. So 24hourcovers.com, and I'm going to send that to all, and I'm going to just put her email address here. Oops. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and say admin at Speedy, not Speedy Publishing, admin at 24hourcovers.com. So Suzette has actually gotten someone who is pretty new in terms of children's book illustrations. So you can reach out to her, and they're pretty, you know, once you're a Speedy Publishing member, they are still part of our ecosystem, so the prices that you get are dramatically slashed. Coloring book images cheap from public domain. How do I say this? Public domain, I don't use it, so I don't know. Public domain is not good. In my last lesson, I made sure to point that out. There is a fine line between what Amazon says and what other retailers say now. What is available online, free on the web, should not get into their content or to be sold. It's just they're not going to like it, right? It's not even that you're saying, you're telling them, okay, well, it's public domain content, right? They really don't want it, right? And I would not be entertaining anything like that. I know that they're, like, I know Tony Ladig is a very, very, you know, big proponent of using duplicate content, or, sorry, public domain content. I am not a proponent of it. I believe that it doesn't give you the wherewithal to create your own assets. Book creation and book publishing is all about the assets that you own. So you've got to kind of think about it along those lines. So I have to kind of know that everything has to be based on my own asset. And I can leverage that asset by translating it. I can leverage that asset by doing whatever I need to do with it. I'm not sure how public domain works in terms of, okay, well, there's no copyright, and what if you sell 1 million copies of it? I mean, I don't know, Dennis, to be honest with you, because I don't use it. I would have to probably, you know, refer back to someone and ask them that question, but I don't use public content, domain content at all. At all. Okay. Awesome. Yes, I can. Okay. Yes, not sure. Okie dokie. Are we at the end of questions? Are you serious? Come on, guys. We've got hours to go here. So, okay. Okie dokie. Where do you get your coloring? Okay, so where do I get the coloring ones? Oh, I didn't answer that part. Where do you get your coloring book images cheap from? You get your coloring book images cheap or from? Never from public domain. On the cheap, I'll give you a little trick. 123rf.com. Let's jump on 123rf. I'll go back to vectors, and I'll look for babies. Now, vectors are awesome because you can actually take all of your images that are vectors, resize them, and it will not lose pixelation. So it won't look not good. And vectors are awesome. They're just pretty expensive. So, okay, so here's one of the key things here that, and Suzette taught me this trick. So here are different images. So if I was to grab this here as a vector, right? And this is like 10 bucks, right, or 10 credits or about. Of course, if when we launch 123RF, which we already do have our version of that, if you wanted to get credits, normally when you're buying credits here, it's about 90, I think it's 89 cents. Let me see if I have Speedy Publishing. Let me go assetdelivery.com. Okay, let's see if it works. No, asset delivery. Is that asset delivery? I think it is. We already do have our own version of 123RF, and we're working on that to make sure it's available to everyone. Right now, the only thing is that you'll have to be able to you'll have to buy the credits from us, but instead of paying on one, it's the same thing as 123RF. It's the exact same thing as 123RF. We have a corporate agreement with them. And what we decided to do is to extend that corporate agreement to all our members. So the way how it works is that you would go to something called Speedy Publishing AssetDelivery.com, and then you would, of course, we would create an account for you on that. It's the same exact thing. Everything that's on 123RF is in Speedy Publishing Asset Delivery. In fact, it's not even our service, right? It's done by 123RF. But instead of paying 89 cents per credit, you actually pay us 65 cents per credit, right? So you can buy a lot more, for argument's sake. So it would not cost you that much, right? So in this instance here, to purchase this, right, would be $6.50 for us. And when we grabbed it, we would be able to take this because it's a vector. We can take any one of these images. So in paying $6.50, I'm probably going to be able to get, like, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can probably get like 10 or 12 or 13 different images from this particular vector here. So depending on how you search for terms, so like here's another really great example. This is a vector. You can grab that vector here, and you've got like several different faces, right? So here's one for, I guess, coloring book if you wanted to. This is not my forte, and I can tell you that Suzette is brilliant at what she does where these are concerned. So here's another one that you can look on. I think if this one we can get the vector with it. Now this would be great for, let's say, a blank recipe book. When you're creating stuff like this, you pay for this. It's like 10 credits, so it's like $6. But you can actually cut these out, and you can resize them to any size, and they will not become pixelated. Brilliant, huh? So 50 plus food and drink icons. And this is great because they're all vectors. So you can resize them and they won't be pixelated. So if you search through here and go through here, you'll find those options in order to do that, right? You'll be able to find those options in order to do that. So, and it can be a range of things. So I could look for dinosaurs if I wanted to, or you could look for whatever. Whatever you need in order to create these things, it's fairly simple. Recently, my computer started to act up, but I'm going to try and see if I can find if it's going to allow me to search for. Yeah, it's not allowing me to search for what I want, but I'm going to try and see if I can find it anyway. I'm going to search pregnancy journal. Let's go. I'm not sure why. It's just not. My computer just has been acting up all day in terms of searching for things. So it's just kind of not searching the way how it used to. But the general idea here, I was going to actually show you one of the books that I have created for Speedy Publishing. But the way how it works, here's an option, coloring book. So here we go, and you can get the vector for this. And then you can, of course, find other images that are similar to this. Here we go. In this instance, what you really want to do is that in this instance here, you want to, this is the full book. So you can get this book at a particular size, right? And this is the web or print use at 300 dpi, right? So you can actually grab that 300 dpi one. And that's going to cost you a couple, I'd probably say about 5 or 6 credits. So here you go. Here's the colored version, and there's the colored version. So, and you can find any one of these here. And I think you've got a lot of one, coloring book, kids in pool. There you go. And you can pick up a couple of these. Now, I hope you remember that, okay, in one instance, the actual colored page is going to also be there to guide the child on what colors to use with the actual blank page, right? So when you get this here, you want to basically get this one here because this is a colored version, right? Here's another really cool one. Here's a lot of vectors, illustration of kids on a white background. You grab a vector of this. This is awesome, all right? So you can use those really, really well. But the idea here is that in this instance, if you're paying $10, let's say $6.50 for those 10 credits, and you're paying that for one, you can probably do, say, 30. 30 of those would be 120 bucks, 180 bucks, thereabouts. And you would have 2 pages. So you would end up having roughly around 60, is it 60? Yeah, you would end up having 60 pages, 1 page for the full color version, and 1 page for the version to be colored in, right? So that would be an absolute awesome way that you'd be able to do that. So that's definitely something that you would want to look on. So that's where we basically get images, that as far as I know, and I would encourage you to do that as well. There are other places like 123RF. There are other places that do vectors as well that you want to find that can probably deliver it to you cheaper. I'm not sure if Dreamstime, which is one of the least expensive places, I'm not sure if they do vectors, but there are other websites that sell vectors that you can buy a set, and then you can resize those that can, of course, not end up being pixelated and still keep that 300 DPI version on it. So that basically should help you in terms of determining how that would work. Okay, where can you get the coloring books on the cheap? Okay, is it me or is it that this thing is not working? It's not sure. Or did I turn this thing upside down? That just could have been me. Okay, I think, let's see the prayer diary. Okay, no, I didn't. Okay, guys, do I have a source for illustrations or coloring books? Okay, you can test mine and see if it works. Call in later when you have a chance. Test mine and see if it works. Okay. Okay, apps. ICE, my audio has problems. To donate the proceeds towards children. Okie dokie. Well, here we go. Okay. I turned it upside down, did I? Okay, alright. So, okay, second question. Okay, so apparently I missed someone's questions. I would like to donate. Okie dokie. The buy site codes, the actual categories show up on the bookshelf where I can put my book. Great. My audio has problems. Sorry. Body, mind, spirit. Correct. Yes. Call in if you're talking. I cannot hear. The audio is off somehow. Call in later when you have a chance. Okay. Sure. Do you have the source for illustrations of country book? Do you have a tutorial on how to create a funnel listing? Okay. I turned this upside down. Okay, let me go ahead and grab this. Definitely. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I turned this upside down. Not cool. Okay, guys, bear with me just a minute. Let me make sure I get in everyone's questions. Okay, gonna leave the screen, calling in. Difficult would it be to translate kids' books and rhymes? Okay. Don't have to pay for an extended... Right. Don't you have to pay for an extended license for coloring books? Okay. Here's the cool thing about this and what most people don't know. No, you don't. Unless your book gets to over 250,000 copies, that's when you pay for that extended license. Do not let anyone fool you. Okay? Now, for covers, I think it's a little bit different. But for interior images, you do not have to pay for the extended license up front. Please don't let anyone trick you. You only have to pay for the extended license if you get up to that 250,000 copies sold, right? And if you do get to that point, then the extended license is not that expensive. At that point, you would have possibly made well over $1 million or at least $500,000 in sales. And I think at that time, probably spending $200 or $300 to make sure you pay for the extended license would possibly not be too heavy on your pocket. So don't be fooled by anyone. And I can actually get Nick over at Imagine, which is a company that runs 123RF, to kind of put something together to kind of let you know that that is a specific case. But if anyone tells you different, they're just trying to get you to pay more money for it immediately. You don't have to do that. until the book gets to that point is when you actually do that. Any kind of tracking code to find which keywords people are trying to find your books. There is a way to do that, but don't do it. I mean, don't do it. You basically are trying to target a specific keyword, right? People can come to your book using many different keywords. If you try to siphon off content from off of Amazon's website, then you're going to be in problems. Don't do it. I mean, it's sorry, I'm just going to make it clear. I've seen people gotten their accounts banned or blocked because of it, right? So don't do it. Do not try to do anything that is going to be untoward and, kind of siphon off content or information from Amazon. We've got to learn at the end of the day, Amazon is a retailer. We are business people, and we are putting our content and our products on Amazon to sell. We have to respect the fact that their business, it's important that their business survives, right? We're not looking on them as the enemy. For too long, whenever we're doing business, we look on the company that we're working on and as if they're the enemy. They're not the enemy. They are pretty much our friend. The reality here is if you're not doing anything untoward, then you have many legs to stand on. So you want to approach your business model in a very, clean hands way then. You want to come to it, you want to be able to say, if Amazon comes to me and says, hey, you've been doing this, that you can go to them with clean hands and say, no, we're not doing this, right? And we never attempted to do this. And you have a leg to stand on. My accounts have been banned before, and I've been able to contact Amazon, and I came to them with clean hands and told them, look, I wasn't doing this. This is a proof. This is the evidence, X, Y, and Z. And they reopened my account, right? So they unblocked it. I've seen a client whose content was taken and stolen, and her account was blocked. And we were able to contact Amazon and say, look, here's the evidence. We did not plagiarize anyone's content, and that's the case. If you are trying to siphon information off of the Amazon website, there is no leg for you to stand on. They find that code there, you are dead to rights. You are dead to rights. There are people who have been using black hat techniques. For instance, they've gone to places like, let's say, Herbal Remedies. And that's spelled incorrectly, though, but it's Herbal Remedies. And I'm going to look on for the Kindle edition, right? And I think there are a couple of books here that are absolutely free. Okay, so say for instance, let's say, and this is not one of them I'm talking about. I'm talking about probably, but let's just say for argument's sake that this is this $0 book. Here we go, Natural Cure by Henry Lindar. So this book, publication date 2011, right? So let's look on this book description. This book was converted from its physical edition to the digital format by a community of volunteers. You may find it for free on the web, right? So this book is absolutely free. People are downloading it as we speak. Natural Cure. Here's the trick that many people are doing now. They're finding these books that are doing very well as a free book. And what they do is that they go into Amazon Office Central and they hijack the book description. They take this book description and they place links back to their own books. And it works for a while. It's like Black Hat, right? So there are a lot of things that these people are doing, and I've seen it. So it's not that I'm not cognizant. It's not that I'm not aware that it exists. But the reality is that it's not sustainable. It's not a good business model to build your house on sand or do things that go against the grain of what the company that you're working with is doing. And if they attempt or they find out that you're doing this and it goes against the grain, then they're going to want to sever their business relationship with you. And then someone is going to fall into the problem of not being able to work with that company. They tell you don't put, content that's previously online, that's free on the web, you put it in a book. Don't do it because it doesn't make any sense. I'm a Kindle customer. I don't want to buy a book and then find out, having paid $2 for the book, that it's free on the web. It's bad for business. I am not going to really and truly worry about who Henry Lindahar is. I'm going to worry about Amazon. And why the heck would Amazon sell me something like that? And Amazon is going to get the bad name. So they have to protect their business model. And when you're siphoning off information like that and trying to track keywords and all of that kind of thing, they're just going to say, look, we know that you're doing something that's untoward. That's, proprietary data for us that we're going to use. We're just going to block you because we just don't want people like you inside our system. And you couldn't blame them for that. So don't do anything like that. We already have a system that we use to find keywords. eBook Niche Explorer. It helps you to find really, really, really good keywords. Really good keywords. Who would have guessed that a keyword term like EFT, right, would be a good term for argument's sake, right? So you can find terms like that, like EFT. It's 3 words. It's 3 words, EFT. And it's a pretty decent term where books are selling a couple of books. And when you look on a term like that, you'd be surprised to say, okay, well, hey, EFT. And there are only 279 competing books, right? So you want to look for things like this that you can find and that you can actually, benefit from. You don't want to do anything like that. Put your content out there, get it in front of people, and don't entertain anything like that, like what they're telling you to plug in all of these things on the Amazon page. It's not good for business. It's not good for business. Don't do it. It's not going to work. And they're eventually going to catch you, and they're eventually going to slap you. And if anyone tells you that they've emailed Amazon, and Amazon says it's fine, they need to show me that email, and I need to email Amazon and point them to that page. If they say, can I email Amazon and point them to that page and hear what they have to say where that is concerned, and if they say it's okay, then I'll go ahead and use that strategy. I can point Amazon to my pages and say, Amazon, is it okay to use this strategy? And they'll tell me yes. Because I'm not driving any traffic off of the Amazon website, and I'm not doing anything untoward like trying to track or adding pixels to it or anything like that. You've got really good keyword terms that you can find. Find those keyword terms, create the content, market it, make money. This is a great niche, and it's 3 letters, I'm saying. EFT. And you create a book on EFT, you rank that book, you create your audio, you create your paperback, and you create, your audio CD, abridged, unabridged, whatever the case is. You create your app, you create your Braille version. All of these, you go through that process and do it. You have no problems, right? So don't try and entertain that option. It's not cool. They will slap you, literally slap you. Sample joint. Okay, JV agreement. Oh, do I have some more green? Okay, hold on 1 second, guys. I'm going to leave the screen on. John says, okay, how do you create traction in a niche to rise to the top in sales? Okay, so typical ways used to be, and it still is to a great extent, we use Kindle Booster, which is a service that is free for all members. What we basically do is that we people will download your book using that keyword term, and the more people download that book using the actual keyword term is the more your book will rank for that particular term. That is kind of evident, and of course if your book ranks really, really way up there, then people will buy the book because of the keyword term search, and it becomes self-fulfilling, right? So if you have your book for free for the term EFT, and then you get 10 or 20 people to download it by searching for the term EFT, and then they all download the book, and then your book now ranks for the term EFT. When your book comes off of free, when people buy it using that term EFT, it will still remain at the top. So there's a simple way of doing it, right? So you've got to get the people to be able to download your book using the keyword term. So that's one way that you can do it. And the other way is just general marketing, right? It's just general marketing where you don't have to use the Kindle KDP Select program. You can just market your book. And the more that your book is being marketed, the more sales you're going to have. And the more people are buying your book and your keyword terms exist in there and people are searching for that, they'll start searching for your book, the title EFT. Your book will continue to rank based on the fact that your book has a really strong bestseller rank. So you want to really market your book. You want to go to Goodreads. You want to make sure your book is on Goodreads. We use a simple service that we use through Ingram Content to make sure our content gets on Goodreads, because Goodreads is the biggest place. You want to use Facebook and drive traffic back to your Facebook page. So all of these are things that different methods that you're going to use to market your books. But the biggest part of marketing is distribution, right? It's where your product is. That's the reality. You can't mass market your product if your product is not mass distributed. So you've got to make sure you mass distribute it so that when you're doing your marketing, that it works for you quite easily. Because anyone can pick up any format of your content at any venue. So if I'm an Apple user, I can pick it up. If I'm a Kindle user, I can pick it up. If I'm a Google user, I can pick it up. Samsung tablet, I can pick it up. Anywhere it is, I can pick it up, right? So that's the main thing. Safari, and Safari has this thing going, and I'm just really discovering about that and learning about the Safari books, but I can pick it up there. So your content is available anywhere. That's key. You want to make sure that happens. So that's really and truly what you want to focus on. When your books start to sell across the board, then it becomes a little bit easier in terms of people buying your content, talking about your content, social media websites like Goodreads, Library Thing, Popular Places. You have a couple of other author blogs, review blogs, reader blogs, stuff like that. So there's simple ways to do it, harder ways to do it. I typically look on, spending at least $200 for a book, and then I know over the next 12 months, if I get it in the right formats, then I can probably look on 3 or 4 or 5 times what I spent to create that content, right? So I'm looking on that from that perspective. That's how you basically look on it. And you create those assets to do that. And it's a very, very, very simple thing for you to do. Not very difficult. So kind of like think more on that before, you kind of think about anything else really. Think about getting your content out there, because distribution is a really good way to get your marketing and visibility and book discoverability out there. So again, you go through that little the search niche where you create the term. If I had herbal remedies, I would go here and I would take the ASIN. I'm not even seeing the ASIN. Okay, here we go. I would take the ASIN. I would go herbal remedies, comma, ASIN here. Link that. And here we go. So it's not showing that. I have no idea. Oh, here you go. So when the actual term, keyword term is not there, then it won't show. And that should help you to kind of understand too. So in this instance, I'm going to try this one here. Let me grab this ASIN. Let's go, publisher, device. Here we go with the ASIN. Okay. And we've got herbal and remedies. We have herbal remedies in the actual title. You've got to have the title. The keyword term that you're ranking for has to be in the title, unless it won't show. And then you place this here, which is actually the ASIN number. And then you use this link, which is right here. And this is the link that you would be telling your friends and your family when your book is for free. Download the book using this link. So they would come here and they would see this, then they would click in here, and then of course they would go ahead and download the book, right? Now, here's another example. I mean, really though, I'm just saying, this is just not cool. I'm just saying, I don't know. That is just so not cool. I don't know. That is just so not cool. I wouldn't be doing anything like this. This could be done so much better. And there are no images here, and I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't do it like that. To be honest with you, that's not cool. That's not cool. Right. So okay, that would help you to rise to the top of sales. Once you get that there, because if your book now ranks for herbal remedies when it's free, because you are ranking for the search term, what will end up happening is that people will get to your book and they'll keep on buying. So when they go to search for herbal remedies, they'll keep on buying your content, right? And they'll keep on buying your content. They'll keep on buying it. So I search for herbal remedies, I find this book, I buy it. I search for herbal remedies here, I buy your book, I see this book, I click on it, it looks good, I buy it. And then I keep on, people who keep on searching for it will keep on buying it using this actual search term. And what that means is that you will end up remaining at the top forever if your content is in good quality. So you want to make sure it's good quality, right? So that's what you really want to do. So we've got here natural home remedies, whatever the case is, and a couple of really good remedy books here, herbal remedy books here. And this is an absolute awesome book. Okay, and I'm not just saying that. So yeah. So there are many other green niches, guys. Lots and lots of them. How difficult would it be to translate storybook of the rhymes? Why am I seeing this here? To pay for extended license coloring book. Do you have any tracking code? Right, we don't use a tracking code. Okay. Do we have any more green niches? Oh yeah. And the JV agreement. Okay. 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 First, let's look on the green niches. Let's head here. Just go to your resources page, and you can start off here. We're changing up a little bit of what we're doing here. So here are some really great green niches. Green niches can change at any point in time, right? Based on what we would find today, it might not be the same thing tomorrow. It might not be the day after, but they're other great. They're great niches. They would definitely not be red, that's for sure. So let's take, for instance, toddler discipline, which I think is a really good niche. And the EFT, of course, I could choose toddler discipline. And I'd probably go toddler discipline here, and I'll just read you a search right now to see what it looks like. And this would be a nice, really good niche. There are only 109 competing books here for that. So, I mean, I think it's a good topic to go after easily. So you want to find niches like that, because those are the niches that you can possibly begin to target where there is not a lot of competition. And I do like topics like this because you can actually really kind of get the most out of it at the end of the day. So, and I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of niches like this, guys. All you've got to do is to look for these books and, you know, kind of sieve them out at the end of the day, right? So as you can see, this was actually green, I guess, a day or two ago, and then now it's kind of yellow. But the sales are still strong. You've got this book here, which is selling like 75. Here's one, Discipline for Children, 1,000 copies, 400 copies. Positive Discipline here. You've got Good Enough Parenting. Life with Toddlers. This is like 55 copies per month. But what many people do is that when they see this, they say, oh, well, this doesn't really look good and this doesn't really work and blah, blah, blah. Listen, here's the case. If this sells 55 copies, I don't know if this book has a Kindle version, if it has a paperback version, if it has an audio version, right? I don't know if it's on Apple. I don't know if it's on Barnes & Noble. I don't know if it's on Kobo. I don't know if it's anywhere else. I don't know if it's on Google eBooks, right? And Google eBooks do pretty well. I'll be honest with you. I will tell you no lies. Google eBooks does very, 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 very well. So you can make quite a number of sales if you're going through your Google Play and Google eBooks account. So don't think that, that nothing will happen for that. Google eBooks works very, very well, guys. So yeah, if you go through this listing here, just go to the resources page. We're adding stuff like modifiers now. So like juicing recipes, juicing for weight loss, clean eating recipes, canning and preserving, green smoothie recipes, food rules, Mediterranean diet, anti-inflammatory diet, hypothyroidism. I love this term because it's a super niche term. If you get a really good book in this niche, you will really make some money. Why I'm going to say that is because not only is it a good niche, and it's probably doing pretty well. Let me take out the extended search so it really comes out. Let me go ahead and do a quick search on that without looking on the diet version. But the reason why this is a really good niche, and I'm going to just in the interim just kind of point that out here by going into SEMrush, is because when I search for that term, the actual term hypothyroidism book or mild hypothyroidism, these are terms that Amazon is driving traffic to, right? So these are terms that Amazon is buying traffic for. Let's see exactly where they're driving that traffic back to. So here we've got mild hypothyroidism. This is the link page that Amazon is driving traffic back to. This is a really big super niche. So here we go back here. You can see it's now yellow. So let me pull this in. All right. So you've got 200, 235, 55, 25, 55. You've got a couple ones here. You've got 300, the thyroid diet revolution. 400 here, a couple ones. But then you've got 75, 25. So these books are selling, at the very least, they're meeting the book per day grade, right? They're selling at least one book per day. And more importantly, their prices are, the prices that you're seeing here are pretty kind of steep, right? So we can ask the James to tell us what the average price is, and the average price is $6.16, right? So those are you guys who, I think everyone should have this software by now. Of course, it's on the resources page. If you don't, it's absolutely free. Just go there on the resources page and download eBook Niche Explorer. It is free, guys. So you can get that software. But they're driving traffic to this particular term, right? So you don't have to even think about, you know, autoimmune. All of these terms, Amazon is driving traffic to. So one of the key things here is that anything with hypothyroidism that you can find, you try and add this either in the description or in your, try and get as many of the best keywords you possibly can into this. So it's really a super niche. So you can really and truly, I mean, really make some money from this niche for sure. Let's see, hypothyroidism book. Let me see what, you know, they're driving traffic to. Right, so thyroid books. So it's about the thyroid. So thyroid diet would probably be one of those that you want to look on. I think I did mention on the niche report, did I have the thyroid diet there on the actual niche report? Mapping, no, we've got an infertility diet, GAPS diet, HCG, right. So yeah, so well, I don't have the thyroid diet there, but it's a good option for you to choose from, right? So here's another really cool one, Evernote. I found that very weird. Evernote was a really good niche for you to look on, so you can go ahead and grab that. And I'm getting off point, so let me head back to the questions. Calling late when you need a chance. If you're taking audio somewhere. Body, mind, spirit. Okay. Here we go. Okay, great. Alrighty. Second question. I have a children's picture book called Lisa and Kyle, the Jamaican Crocodile. Okay, nice. It's a book about a musical, okay, adventure. I wanted to donate proceeds towards a children's music charity, preferably in Jamaica. Do you know where I can seek out a charity to donate the proceeds to? Okay, awesome. Can you, I'm going to send you an email here. So you can just drop me a line. Yeah, there's some really great charities. Maxfield Park's Children's Home, that's one of the charities I support. That's for homeless kids. So yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be great, John. That's awesome. Kidoki. Body, mind, spirit. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Okay. Break your webinars into small sessions. Okay. I agree. I agree. I agree. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know, Matt. I know, Emily. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. I know. I've got to break it up into smaller times. Yeah, because we always run over time. I'm so sorry. I tested my mic. It's working. Okay. Limited funds. Da 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 da. Okay, I'm on the phone. Okay, let's see. Laugh aloud. No mic. Okay, good. Okay. Tender for laugh. Awesome, Dennis. Awesome. Okay, teaching people. Thanks. Thanks for great content. Thanks. We are warriors. Okay. Let's go. What are the fastest selling no content books? Okay. Got to that question already. Book images on a cheap. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I think I've gotten to all the questions, guys. I'm not seeing any questions coming in at the end or at the beginning. I have no idea why this thing is jumbling up. This is just, I have to have a word with these guys. Okay, great. Okay, guys, so I'm going to end the webinar now. I know that James and John does not. James, Jay, and John have a webinar coming up on the Kindle Matchbook in a little while. I think I'll try and find that link shortly. The replay will be back up, and Emily, I will try and cut it into different sections. I promise. But typically, we always go way above the time because I want to make sure that we kind of get to everyone and address your questions. That's very, very, very important to me, and I do close the entire day off for that. So I'll be off for the rest of the day. So, okay, guys, thank you so much for attending. Look out for the replay. I will add those links I promised in the replay. And I'll try and get as much to you. Bill, you should get that email coming in as soon as possible from Liz. Thank you guys so much for your comments. I'll definitely be sending out the replay, everyone. Okay, so I'm stopping the recording, and everyone have a really, 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 really good night and a really awesome weekend, and start putting some of the things I've taught in action. Okay, everybody, take care. Hey, yeah, I just ended the webinar. It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.